Erecting a dispenser. I need some doggone help. Help me! Help! Help! Help me! I need some doggone help.
This ever happened to you? You're mingling, maybe minding some music while making the mundane match move along. Man, that timer is really moving like molasses. And the mountain of machines your mechanic mates have amassed may just make this match last a millennium. My bad, I forgot to mention the two medics who have been waiting since May to manufacture that rather modest push, mastering the machines, mechanics, and even me, the man mentioning the event. Making men mauled and get mad, and you type into the chat, moron, with a 0 for the O. But why? Medic is admittedly a very hard class to talk about on the subject of why do people hate him. I mean, his most defining trait is healing people rather than hurting them. But, like a wise man once said, I fear not the man with the gun, but the man who has an orchestra as his theme. Medic doesn't pose any direct threat to you, but instead multiplies the issues and problems of other classes and makes them much more annoying to deal with. Heavy has health? Boom, give him more health. Soldier has damage? Boom, give him even more damage. Demo has survivability? Boom, even more survivability. Spy has something? Well, we'll get back to him. But we can see Medic taking the most annoying and hated aspects of every other class and increasing them tenfold. What makes Medic even slightly worse in this regard, however, is the sheer impact he carries as well. The standard match of TF2 has 12 people on both teams. However, throw in a competent Medic and it feels less like a 12v12 and more of a 14v12 with the Medic and whoever his pocket is typically on top of the scoreboard. Name a more iconic duo. The scales have been tipped. And, as a result, the only way to match the success of an enemy medic is to have your own medic. But what's worse than a good medic? A bad medic. Classes in TF2 are a lot more simple than people give credit for. You point the gun at the bad guy and shoot. Of course, Medic doesn't do that. He heals teammates and at best provides Uber for a well-needed push, and at worst is essentially a free kill for the enemy, who doesn't have the awareness to keep you or himself alive longer than the lifespan of fucking sea monkeys. Even though the bare bones of Medic is stay by the big guy, Medic mains will be quick to inform you that there's a lot more preparation for that, and it takes a lot of mental fortitude to play a class whose best response to getting hurt is reenacting France in 1940. So when you have Pablo Gonzalez 2002 at gmail.com switch to Medic, unable to damage enemies and unable to heal teammates, you begin to wonder when he's going to switch to another class so he can actually do something this match. As for Medic's weapons, are any as reliable, as tremendous, as game-changing as the stock Crusader's crossbow, giving Medic the ability to heal people from afar. Great when used on you, actually tedious and annoying when used against you. The universal fact that most players realize that they can sit still, call from Medic, and be healed as long as they are in the sight line shows the utility the weapon has. But what about its offensive capabilities? Tough luck, guys, but it can't headshot, so clearly it isn't a solid mid, close, or long-range defensive option for backpedaling enemies, nor is it good for engaging targets from afar with its damage scaling over distance. The Blutsauger is the combat comeback Medic's dream. Although it limits Medic's passive healing, it allows you to leech the life out of every other class. Against tankier classes like Heavier Soldier, it won't be enough to save you, but against a cocky scout who thinks you're easy pickings, you gotta love winning a fight at full HP despite being shot at 23 times. I once killed the man with the overdose back in '92. I still haven't found the body. Not that I blame them, because the overdose left that man mangled beyond recognition. Many people underestimate the bonuses that the overdose provides. They brush its situational upside whilst forgetting that it's still just a free upgrade to stock. I mean, the damage penalty is literally 1. It isn't that big of a deal. The speed is also quite handy for retreating or engaging from fights, and provides a slight edge in combat while not giving up any survivability compared to the Blutsauger. One is more focused on being passive and retreating, while the other much more aggressive, focused on fighting. Yet both are equally good and can be a problem in the right hands. I mean, what's worse than letting the medic walk away? The stock medigun is old reliable, boasting the ability to keep teammates alive with an extremely respectable healing rate of 24 HP a second in combat and 72 HP outside of it. Being able to boost teammates' HP to 150% for the use of overheal also has immense benefits, making heavy a near unstoppable wall, allowing sniper to survive a headshot, and giving soldier and demo more blast jumps and mobility. And of course, after 40 seconds of continuous healing, you get access to Uber Charge. An extremely powerful tool, allowing for 8 seconds of full-on invincibility, enough time to shred through a sentry nest and the surrounding nearby engineers, or to tear clear through the entire enemy team. The quick fix takes everyone's favorite duo and makes them even more mobile, having the medic mimic the blast jump, somehow having the pair become even more inseparable than before. Of course, this increased healing rate also provides a much more support-based role for the already support-based class. Being able to keep several teammates alive on a tight corridor, it may not be as defensive as a push when compared to stock, but the influx of full HP enemies will eventually overwhelm you as quickly as a Jerry Trench push in World War I. The Kritzkrieg, on the other hand, is that edgy kid at school that gets bullied and picked on every day until it texts you, "Don't come to school tomorrow." I'm sorry, do you hear orchestral music? The Kritzkrieg is often mocked for its slightly significant weaker Uber being much more situational compared to stock, but you know what situation it does excel in? Spawn camping, killing the entire enemy team in one shot. Also, it fills up slightly faster as well, from 40 seconds with stock to 32 with the Kritzkrieg. And of course, you can still cap while having a little power trip as well. The Vaccinator holds the title of being the one weapon that people universally hate regardless of skill level. The Vaccinator provides a 10% passive damage resistance to one of 3 damage types, blast, bullet, or fire, with his Uber applying a 75% resistance instead. Despite seeming weaker than the invincibility you receive with stock, 75% damage resistance is more than enough to prevent you from dying from nearly any encounter. Out of the 3 damage types you have access to, one is exclusive to Pyro, who will probably be mowed down before getting close enough. Blast, which cuts out demo completely and most soldiers since they tend to carry the gunboats rather than the shotgun. And every other class is restricted to their sole bullet damage source. But the Vaccinator doesn't block melee damage. True as that may be, you'll still have to get up close and personal with your melee against a full HP target who doesn't mind shooting you from a distance. As a result, trying to fight against a medic in his pocket simply doesn't work. Not even a random crit can save you because the Vaccinator's Uber blocks those too. As a result, you'll typically need a coordinated team or handful of people focusing fire on the Vaccinator medic to take care of the issue. But wait, it gets stronger. The Vaccinator is capable of having 2 Ubers active at once, meaning any crit rocket, sniper headshot, or revved heavy simply won't cut it, requiring either an overwhelming amount of people shooting 2 people, or a bunch of random people to have all 3 damage sources focus firing at once. You essentially need the coordination of an air control tower to fight this bloody thing. On top of that, it gains Uber in nearly half the time compared to stock, being 24 seconds for a charge versus stock's 40. Gains additional Uber duration while Ubered, which is a bug, and of course allows the medic to cap points. For some reason, it may require some mental juggling to be able to quickly switch damage type to damage type, but the payoffs the weapon receives is simply way too much, resulting in it being one of the most hated weapons within TF2. Yes, even more than you. You, on the other hand, you're up for debate. As for melee weapons, we have the Uber Saw, the Uber Saw, the Uber Saw, and the Uber Saw. Alright, I'll give some credit to the Amputator, but not Stock, the Vitasaw, or the Solemn Vow. Stock sucks. The Vitasaw is a weapon that rewards dying while hitting enemies with your melee, something that the Ubersaw rewards instantly and doesn't punish you for it. And the Solemn Vow can be used to tactically inform teammates of hurt individuals, finishing them off. Just assume everyone is at full HP, alright? It's just easier that way. It's still better than Stock, though. I'll give it that. The Amputator, however, does boost Medic survivability, allowing him to boost his passive health regen to 9 HP a second outside of combat and 6 during combat, at the cost of melee damage. Ideal for sticking with a pocket or large groups of teammates due to its unique taunt. Capable of healing teammates in a large radius for either 25 or 75 health, much better than hugging Dispenser. It functions sort of as a mini quick fix. And here we go with the Prince of Power Creep, the Ubersaw. Do I really have to talk about what makes this thing so powerful? Aside from the obvious increased crit chance through healing, the extremely negligible downside, and the obvious benefit of being able to typically combo lightweight classes to ensure you get 50% of your Uber, making this happens a lot more often now. Combine this with 2 medics and either no pyros or just incompetent teammates, and you'll have the world's brightest train and biggest headache. The Ubersaw also really minimizes the effect wasting an Uber or dropping a medic actually has. You just need a cocky spy to get back to 50% Uber. Medic's gameplay issues and problems aren't as apparent or noticeable as soldiers, snipers, or pyros. He won't snipe you across the map, deal damage over time, or just juggle you into a combo, but he will cause you to slowly lose the match while he's present on the enemy team, causing an imbalance. And the only real way to solve the solution is to have someone on your team go medic as well. It's quite common to hear people often complain about the lack of a medic on a team and begging people to switch, caring much more about the overall win rather than the match, but hey, that's a matter of personal opinion. As mentioned before, what's worse than a good medic is but a bad one. Sacrificing a new player who won't survive longer than 2 minutes and causing you to overextend is a lot worse than having him play pyro or soldier and getting a kill for every 4 deaths. Combine that with the slow snowball effect he has on games with his admittedly rather stale meta of the Crusader's crossbow and the Ubersaw to keep everyone on his team alive from whatever distance, and the Uber pushes constantly to keep you on your toes, or combine that with the destructive capabilities that the Vaccinator and Kritzkrieg have to truly cause havoc and rage on the battlefield, instantly deleting enemies or deleting their attacks. Next time you play a match of TF2 and lose, see if the enemy team had a medic, and see if your team didn't. Usually it's one of the many reasons why. And here we are at the credits. The lovely credits at the end. Look at all the faces on the Patreon at the credits at the end. Here we are. Medic is a class. I mean, he's not really that hated aside from the Vaccinator and stuff like that, personally, which is just annoying to fight against, but I'll stand by the whole entire, if one team has a good medic, right, much like a good sniper, the only way to really combat that is by having one of your own. It's just not as noticeable, obviously, since he ain't doing any of the killing. And unlike the whole entire good sniper versus a bad sniper argument, listen, you can be one of the best sniper players in the world, but you still have a chance of being out-sniped by one of the worst. Probably through a full body shot, but still getting killed by him. With the medics, however, if you got a bad medic, he's just gonna die. He's not gonna do anything. Compared to the good medic on the enemy team who's getting Uber every 2 seconds because the spy just keeps rushing him. Here we are at the end of the credits.